And for those who couldn't attend, we're going to share on our YouTube channel afterwards. But thanks for joining, everybody, and more jumping on the call. Thank you for joining us. Our monthly mastermind this month is the art of negotiation. It's always a hot topic, right? And yeah, you know, the fun part about this, that people, our agents from the various offices, look at our annual planner and say, hey, can we have this person, that person, this person? So honestly, even though I love to pick, and I would probably pick all of you anyways, all of you came as a high demand by the agents. Just for you to know, they've been asking for you guys specifically throughout the offices. They saw you previous years or previous sessions, and some kind of different topics, or in the actual our own offices when you guys featured. So thank you guys for doing an amazing job and being leaders in our industry. So let's do a quick round just to present who you are. Share whatever you feel like sharing about yourself besides your name and your DRE number. Just a joke, just your name and how, you know, how many years, your territory basically, and a little bit about yourself. Ladies first, Allison Van Wig.
Allison Van Wig, and 30 years in the Long Beach Lakewood area.
Great location.
Short and sweet. She's always to the point. Allison, thank you. Good to have you. I love the background. Gordon Inman.
That's me. So I've been doing this for 46 years only. Started our first company in 1974. Had 30 years as an independent company, and then bought franchise, I think 16 years ago, the Keller Williams franchise. And but I'm still working. I love working. I'm not going to stop until you say, hey, I can't wake up Gordon. He's at his desk. I can't seem to get him up. I'm going to keep on going till the end.
Amen. Love it. Gordon, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Bob Walatka.
Yes, sir. I am in the Torrance area, the Torrance Market Center. I've been in the business 21 years, started up in the Sacramento area and built a database there and figured out how to do it. So came down here about 3 years ago to try and start building a database down here. And by the way, I see Allison's name all over Long Beach. So nice to see Allison.
Yeah, she's taking territory. Bob, good to have you. Thank you. Love the background. Doug Schmidt is in the house.
Thank you. Yeah, Keller Williams Calabasas office. Been there since they opened, basically. Been in real estate over 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and you got the facial hair to
prove it, to back it up. Every one of those gray hairs was earned.
well earned.
Yeah.
So guys, thanks again for making some time. It was a tough negotiation to get you to join this negotiation mastermind. But not really, you guys are awesome. But I kind of like want to have maybe a different way to go about it for a second, instead of like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because this is really the gist, the juice of our industry is like, how good negotiator are you really in any situation, circumstance? And as you know, the negotiation is a skill. We can learn it, we can develop it, and it's always good again to have those kind of settings to learn from one another and to share that information. So I would love to do a quick round, and then I would love to have you guys bring up some kind of a subject, or maybe ask question one another for a second, because all of you know one another, or at least one person over here on this panel, anything to do with negotiations. And then whoever is watching us, feel free to type in on the chat questions if you have any. Can be related to anything in a transactional question, or something else that you guys come across with that those amazing people on the panel can help to address. So I'll start with not a specific order. Allison first. When it comes to the negotiation skills, right? You've been doing this a long time. You're you know, an MREA agent. You have amazing group, amazing team that you keep developing. When somebody's asking you a question of like, you know, hey, how can I become a good negotiator? What is your answer?
I think I would probably start by like signing up for some of those master classes on negotiation and listening to some FBI agents negotiate.
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously that's a different business, but it all starts with being quick on your feet and having the answers. So listen to the classes there and really learn scripts, because I think that you're not going to use the scripts after a year or two. You should be so good at using scripts that they're no longer scripts. They just flow out and you can combine them and they are you speaking. It's not a script anymore.
Mhm.
So.
Oh, you're muted for a second. Allison, you got muted for a second.
Know your skill really well, know your business really well, and be prepared for those real estate questions. You know, in some of the training I do, one of the questions I said to the agent is, why should I hire you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you can roll off, if you're prepared for that, it's going to be easier for you to negotiate things that come up.
Yeah.
So know your scripts really well. Watch some of those FBI negotiators and learn how they get around people. There's 1 Minute Salesperson. I would read that. I would read The Go-Getter as well.
The Go-Getter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make a note of that. The Go-Getter.
Okay, right.
Gordon, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that there's not just one thing in the art of negotiation. There's a lot of things that are involved in that. I think one of the biggest things is being totally prepared and knowing your listings and the inventory that you're surrounded with really, really well. If you show up with comparable sales, know the comparable sales from top to finish without having to read them to a client. You can pick up that list and say, hey, that was 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom. I sold for blank. If it stays on the market, this. You know that property upside down and backwards. And I think being prepared like that is very impressionable to a seller, knowing that, hey, this guy knows the area. He knows the homes. He'll get me the best price for my house. So I think it's that confidence that you've done your homework, you're well prepared, and it'll really show if you do that.
I also think you cannot come from a place of attack. So many times I will have agents call me, they're submitting an offer, and the very first thing is, I don't understand why you priced it this way. Or there are no comps, so I'm coming in at 900,000. I don't even know why you priced it at 950. Okay, both of those is what we don't want to do. Or did you look at comps when you priced it? When you ask me that question, you know what I'm going to say to you? No, I guessed.
Yeah,
It's like, don't come from a place of attack,
judgment. Yes.
because you will put someone's radar up and then their wall goes up and you just lost any negotiation that you might have had. You think you're negotiating, but you're really not negotiating. You're putting up that wall. If you had wanted to negotiate, you should have said, hey, I'm having a really tough time with my client right now. I'm trying to get them to the price that you listed it for $1 million. I'd like to get you $1 million or more. What can I give my client to help him?
Oh, lost you.
Sorry, you're muted again.
Oh,
Do you have any way of helping me?
Excuse me. I find it's extremely important, and I try to teach the new folks as they join us that you have to learn to agree first. If the seller said, geez, I really think my home is worth 900,000. I feel the same way. Let's take a look at these comps and go through it together, and we'll come up with the price together. I'm on her side or his side. The minute I said, I agree with that price, I'm there. And then we can negotiate that or talk about it further.
Yeah, and you know, Allison, you mentioned earlier, you know, hey, go, you know, read this or listen to this FBI negotiator. Doug, what is your relationship with Chris Voss, that FBI negotiator?
So yeah, I've been studying with him for about 6 years since the book came out.
Yeah, and you're referring to Never Split the Difference.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you want to expand a little bit about that experience, how it is to work with Chris Voss, and just a couple of concepts that, you know, we apply every day in our business, or maybe should apply?
Out of all the countless ones there, I'll grab one. It's really about coming to their side of the street. You know, what are they thinking and what are they feeling? It's not about us.
Right.
So that's the, in a nutshell, I'd say that's the background and concept behind emotional intelligence. It's not about us. It's about them. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Where are they coming from?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Tracy in The Psychology of Selling, which I listened to on cassette tapes about 35 years ago. Yes, I am that old. Talks about one of the closing techniques, which Doug was just saying, Allison Gordon both alluded to, was getting on their side of the desk. In the classic salesperson scenario, you walk in with your briefcase, you're presenting on your side of the desk. Well, the key is to drag your chair around back behind them and get on their side of the desk and understand where they're coming from, why they are in the position that they are, what's going to be the win for them, and is there a way to tie it in the win for you? And I also completely agree with Allison about knowing your scripts, because we're negotiating when we're making calls to earn an appointment, when we're presenting in front of our prospective clients, when we're submitting an offer, when we're in escrow. We've got a lot of different negotiations going on. And the great news is there's really just a limited number of things that we need to know. And if we know those, we're prepared and we're ready.
I think they say, Bob, it's getting into the same lane that either the seller or the buyer's in. If you're in that same lane with them, you've got half the battle done already.
Yeah. And as Allison pointed out, the way agents are confronting her or attacking her, that's of absolutely no use. They're trying to show how smart they are. I'll let the other agent be the smart one. I'm completely okay with that. I'll let the buyer, I'll let the seller be the smart one. That's completely all right with me.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, no matter when you're negotiating, you've got to remember who has the commodity that you want. So if you're making an offer, the other agent has that commodity that you want. So it's like, I'm going to do whatever I can to try to make them happy because I want that commodity. If it's a listing, the seller has that commodity. Again, I got to get on the seller's side. I've got to do everything I can to get that commodity.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah. And that's part of the art of negotiation, right? To understand there's a lot of psychology behind negotiations. It's not just the scripts. It's like when to use them, how to use them properly, and of course, come from a place of understanding like what you mentioned, Allison, is leverage, right?
Right.
Doug, give us another one from Chris Voss, because it's kind of open up different discussions.
Well, listening to what everyone's talking about, again, one of his first maxims probably be, are you the fool or the favorite? And if you're the favorite, it's huge. If you're the fool, then you are the commodity. And so it's really the negotiation is going to go a lot smoother if you are indeed the favorite. So if let's say they're a seller shopping around for commission, and they're looking for the bottom line lowest price on commission, you're not the favorite. You're just a fool. You're just a commodity. You're just like everyone else. But if there's actually a relationship there and you are the favorite, then that speaks volumes.
So I guess the question would be, how do you go into that favorite category without making yourself a discount broker?
Yeah, and again, that's
And
it.
so,
Oh, go ahead.
and so I think that it's important. That's where some of the marketing comes in to effect, and saying, you know, we offer this, 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 and this. And don't forget that it's not just about the commission you're paying, but what you walk away from the home with. This is your retirement. And so this money is very important too. Your home is one of your most valuable assets. The agent you pick can end up costing you thousands, not saving you thousands. So it's like, I understand you want to save some commission, but I also want to get you the most money. And it's like, don't trade $4,000 in commission for $40,000 on the table. Let's talk about the differences here and why that reduced commission may not be a good thing. I can do the reduced commission too, but do I want to make you an extra 40,000 or save you 4K?
Point.
Can I steal that one, Allison?
Yes.
Thank you.
Does anybody here use the assumption clause when you get ready to get them to sign the listing that you assume it's yours? Thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored that you called me to list your property. I'm going to do a wonderful job for you. Thanks again for that opportunity. Does anybody use an assumption clause like that, or?
I must,
Not
but
like
I
that.
don't. I must, but I don't know. Okay, because several times they said, oh yeah, we listed with you because we felt like you thought you had it from the very beginning.
Yeah, that confidence. I'm here. I'm going to do a great job for you, and we're going to work as a team. You as a seller, me as an agent, to get this done for you and get to that top dollar. We're going to leave no money on the table. We're going to get it all.
Right.
And on that vein, the Mike Ferry listing pre-qualification script has worked well for me in the past, where the number one question you ask is, today when we meet or confirming the appointment, if you like what you hear and you feel comfortable and confident that I can get your home sold, will you be ready to list with me that day?
Yeah.
And I have had sellers tell me, yes. Guess what? The listing presentation is over.
It's
I haven't
done.
even gone and it's over. I just walk in and get the listing agreement signed.
Yeah. Now, Bob,
They don't always say yes. However, sometimes they do.
yeah. And if they didn't say yes, if they say, look, we don't like to make a decision on the spot. We want to think about this tonight. We'll call you tomorrow. That's okay too, if that happens. I don't twist anybody's arms here. You got to sign it tonight. What did I do wrong? Let's go with the paperwork again. If I get to that point, they really want to think about it, then I understand that I take a step back.
Yeah. Well, and then the question is, well, we want to think about it. Great. This is an important decision. You should think about it. Just so I'm clear, what specifically is it that you need to think about?
That's a very good question. Yeah, very good question.
I'm sure you have a
you know where they're coming from. Yeah.
And in addition to that, if that's the answer, but you know there's first competition around you and you really, really want to get that listing. So what would you then? Would you let them sleep on it, or?
Well, I'm going to ask that question. What is it you want to think about? Because I want to think about it is just vague. There's no clarity to it. And so I want to be clear about what it is they want to think about. And then if they share something, well, we're just not sure you can get it, or whatever it is they share, then you have the opportunity to go back in and, oh, I am so sorry, I did not explain that. This is how we address that.
Yeah.
And then overcome we want to think about it.
Yeah, it gets to the point of that deep diving and trying to really, really read the person you're talking to, that seller, and where they want to go and how they want to get there and what their goals are. And it changes just a little bit if it's an engineer. I want to take this home. I want to read every single word, and I'll have a lot of questions for you tomorrow. That happens too. No disrespect to engineers.
Yeah, it's the IC, as we call it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bob is not insulted.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm not a high C.
It's an engineer.
An engineer.
Doug, how would you handle that kind of objection?
Just throw out a label. So it seems like you're hesitant.
Seems like that's not the Chris Voss technique, right? Labels.
Yes.
So you say seems like so and so, and then you just wait for them to respond.
Correct. Yeah, just stay silent after that and let them speak. Or it seems like something else just crossed your mind.
And then shut up.
Yeah, be quiet.
It's a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
It is. Yeah.
Let the silence do the heavy lifting.
Exactly.
First person to speak loses.
Right.
We've
We've been hearing that for years, haven't we? We've heard that for years and years and years. You know, I'm going to tell my wife that I'm going to learn how to be silent. I'll probably lose that battle for sure.
You're gonna lose the battle.
You know, there's also at that time, if depending on how it goes, it wouldn't be something I would use at the first moment. But then again, depending on how the situation went, you could say something like this: "It seems like there's nothing I can say or do at this point to change your mind."
Yeah.
And just be quiet, stay silent. It's called an effective pause. Just have an effective pause, and more likely than not, they're going to go ahead and explain everything.
Yeah.
Because you're both feeling the pressure of the silence. You're feeling it,
Yeah.
and you just gotta suck it up and deal with it. They're
Yeah.
feeling it, and you just stay silent until they speak, and they will speak.
Yeah. If you come to a point where maybe a seller has a disagreement with your evaluation and what they want to list it for, they say, geez, I think you're right on the lower price. However, I'd like to list it higher. And we say, you can't underlist the property today. You cannot. It will not happen. You'll get multiple offers. But you can overlist it where it sits on the market, get those days on the market, which will really hurt you in the long run. So you got to be careful of that number. Not too low, that will work every time. Too high will hurt you in the long run. Yeah.
And of course,
I think,
Go
I
ahead.
take the time to explain that if we price it too high and it does not sell within 2 to 3 weeks, we just lost 20 to 30,000, because then when we reprice it at what I'm telling you to price it today, it's already been on the market 25 days. No one's going to give you that price either, because then they want to negotiate. It becomes negotiation because there must be an issue with your home. It hasn't sold in 20 days in this hot market. We can't make that mistake. It will cost us money.
Thank you.
And can I just point out, and for all of you that are listening, did you hear how Allison nailed her numbers? She said, if we go 3 weeks, if we're this high, it's going to cost this much. She knows her numbers exactly and articulates them with authority. And guess what? If you're able to articulate with that much authority, who's the leader in the room? And people want to be led through the real estate transaction. So bravo, Allison.
That's why you need to know your scripts so they no longer become scripts. That's why you need to watch The Art of Negotiation. And that's what, because this is your business, this is your trade. If you go to buy a car and they don't know about the car, it's like, maybe you buy that car, maybe you don't. If you know more about the salesperson, there's no attraction to that person, because you already know more. So it's like, you're not in awe. You're not going back to him to buy a car because he didn't do anything for you.
Well said. And Doug Schmidt, that's for a whole different session. He has a whole story about buying cars and beating the system like nobody else before. Another thing in what Allison mentioned, and that was a brilliant, I'll call it script just for the sake of the conversation, whoever's watching us, because most agents will say, and if 2 to 3 weeks, we're not going to get what we want or any offers, let's then talk about the price. So you said something else, and that's fear of loss, right? Which is also a big motivator for any kind of consumer. Do you guys want to expand on that for a second, and if how utilizing that in your negotiation, like what Allison just mentioned?
We can list for $9.95 now, or we can list with your $10.50. And then when we reduce the price to $9.95 in 3 weeks and we only get $9.75, we've just cost ourselves $30,000 to $40,000, because at the $9.95, we could have gotten 3 or 4 offers, played them against each other, and probably gotten you 10, 20.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful. And that's why you're hiring me, because I know the inventory and I know what it's going to take to get this to move.
That's a great answer.
Mhm.
Good.
Gordon might hire you for his next listing, Allison. Anybody other, like, fear of loss, objections?
Well, one thing that I teach and attempt to implement when it comes to especially expired listings, a lot of times our approach is we don't approach it correctly. What we all know, we are more driven by fear of loss than we are motivated to seek pleasure. And an expired listing, why did it expire? Price, period, always. So their pain that they were trying to avoid was selling the property for less. So I endeavored to do a switch cost and focus on where is it you were going? What was important about that? Or what was the financial decision you were going to make once you had sold it? What was the benefit of that? What would that do for you? And what will that mean for you if you get that? And endeavor to do the switch cost so the pain is now not obtaining what they were going to obtain, and it's no longer price. So, and it took me years to figure out what switch cost meant when I heard it 18 years ago in bold for the first time.
What, you all of you guys been around for quite some time, doing this for a full-time living. Anything change if you go back, Gordon, like 40 something years back till today? No cell phone, yes cell phone.
Oh my gosh, the change. When I first went in, there was one purchase agreement, one page, no disclosures, none. That was it. And all the legal problems started happening, and then they had 2 disclosures, then 10, and then 20, and then 50. And then you have 1 page, and you have 10 pages, and whatever. I guess to take away people from suing each other because you don't have all the information there. I went through just about every cycle. I went through it when the interest rates were 20, 22%. Found out a way to get through that. I saw it when the banks were out of money. You had to wait for them to get a block of money, 90 days, but they got the money in so they could fund your loan. Gone through that. So see a lot of them. This is a little bit different. This market is not going to be here all the time. This is something totally different. It's the lack of inventory. I'm a listing agent. That's where we get most of our business. And that makes my job a lot easier than working with buyers and showing 22 different properties and competing with all those offers. So I focus on getting the listings, and I work in the time we're in. This is the time, this is the way it works. This is how we do it now. Not how we did it back 20 or 25 years ago. It's changed totally. I can remember before we didn't even have the internet, and then all of a sudden they came out with that, what's this, Or we had multiple listing books. I don't know if you remember that, Allison. You have a multiple listing book given to you by the board. When you want to do comps, you look at the back of the books and then make a copy of that and give that to the appraiser. Now you go online, you can have your comps done in 20 minutes.
I feel that the biggest disadvantage that we have by moving forward is not being able to present in front of the seller anymore. Remember how we would get at the table? The other agent would be there, and we got to present our offer and tell them about our clients and how excited. And it's like, we don't get to present anymore. So there's no facial expressions. Like, you cannot see the seller's facial expressions to know what to say next. It's like when you go on a listing presentation, you're looking at their facial expressions to see exactly what's the next thing you say.
Right. Yeah.
And I miss presenting in front of sellers. I think we lost that.
Yeah, I agree. I used to love to present the offers and get in front of the seller. And then when we get a counter, we couldn't do it by fax or whatever, we'd have to get it signed, drive across town, get the buyer to sign it, counter, drive all the way back across town again, get it signed again, and then hope you get a deal. So I got to the point where when I was competing like that, I was keeping my buyers in the car right outside. So when they gave me a counter, I went right out there and got it signed, or got a counter, went right back in again. I don't say, stay on the other side of town, I'll catch you up in an hour. Nope, stay with me because we're going to get this house. And so there's been a lot of changes, but a lot of good changes, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it would be kind of suspicious to keep the buyers in the car locked in, like don't go anywhere.
Don't go, don't you dare, don't you dare.
The good old days.
That's the good old days.
Yeah.
We were presenting an offer one time. There was a really famous type agent. His name is DiBernardo, not the son, but it was the dad way back then. And we present the offer with the seller, and he'd have his little briefcase there, and we'd all put our offers on the table. And then he would hold his back, and he'd wait to see what the other ones were. Then he'd reach his briefcase and he'd get the higher one, and he would skip the other ones and put the higher one on the table. So he always had the best offer on the table. After a while, you picked up to what his little trick was, what he was doing. So, but he's like 90-some years old now, and still, he was a terrific salesman. Absolutely, and his son's a very good salesman too. So it kind of ran in the family. But that was his little way. I'm going to get this deal as opposed to you. I'll put the best deal on the table. Let me see yours. Oh, you're 900,000. He put one up like 905, and the one for 875 stayed in his briefcase. We said nope. Everybody put your offers on the table all at the same time. Now we're not going to do it that way anymore.
Two things. First of all, and now we know we have so many disclosures 20 years later, but it just shows how I mean, it was a bit tougher back then, right? In some aspects, and it's much easier, you know, in different ways. So it really depends how you look at it.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true. They made the job in some respects a lot easier. The computer has, obviously, getting prepared for appointments or prepared for appraisals or whatever it might be. That's a pretty quick process now. And the difference is that if you are preparing yourself on a computer and in that particular area, you really need to study those comps you're going to put in front of somebody. You need to know them upside down, inside out, know them completely. This one had a view, this one saw the ocean, this one did not. This one had a great view of the harbor, a big lot, swimming pool, flat pad. I mean, if you know that one and they see this person knows the inventory, they know this area, I want to work with this person. So knowing your inventory is extremely important, I think.
Yeah, and also it helps. I mean, you know, again, you guys were hitting some of the strong points, which is hands off. I mean, this is exactly what makes you guys very successful all those years. So whoever's listening, you know, I hope that you guys making notes. If not, you're gonna watch the recordings afterwards, right? And another thing that I can tell, you know, full confidence, all of you are mastering that as well, is knowing the other agent. Of course, if it's in your kind of territory, you would. If it's outside areas, maybe you wouldn't, but you will come out of respect. So expand on that, like how that can help us as a negotiator.
Well, I think treating other agents with the highest respect is extremely important. They'll be on your side when they're presenting that offer if they like you. If they don't like you, they're going to fight against you. So I build up the rapport, not in a phony way, in a sincere way. I like to work with people. I like to work with other agents. Sometimes you run into that roadblock or that block wall or whatever, but you tend to find a way to get over it. But just be kind, be nice, be humble. It goes a long ways if you do that.
I learned many years ago that was taught to me that I carried with me.
Right.
You be a professional, even if no one else is. And we've all been in real estate transaction, or those of us that have been doing this a while, we've been in real estate transaction where the other agent was a mess, a disaster, horrible. And you be a professional, even if they are not.
It's a mistake too, I think, Bob, if you tell the other agent, or the seller or the buyer, that the other agent's a jerk or something like that, that's a mistake too. You know, you have to like bite your tongue. As a good agent, they know their job. We're going to work together, because if they don't like that agent, you're going to fight that battle all the way through, from the start to the finish, to the escrow, to the closing. You'll fight them all the time. So You don't say anything bad about the other agent, it doesn't go very far.
Right.
Doug, how do you find that win-win? If you have that other side that you know, that's gonna be a tough one. How do you create that set expectations, if you may, to the win-win?
It starts with the way that the deal is structured, the way it's set up. So there's certain things that we can do to set the deal up for success. For example, though, it doesn't always work if let's say you're with a seller, the seller's priced really high and you get one offer. You really can't play that against anything. So you're out of luck.
Yeah.
And so there's things that we can do by pricing it properly, you know, like again, you know, do the price, let the price do the heavy lifting, you know, see who's best for the transaction, see who the best buyer is, who's stepping up. And you can only do that when you set it up properly. So when you find the sweet spot, let's say on a listing, and you get all these offers and they're good offers, and you can see who the best agents are, you can see who the best buyers are, it makes a world of difference.
It does. Yeah.
So does that answer the question?
Okay. So we just have to.
You did for me.
So that's all. Okay.
Another question for you guys. Allison mentioned one at the very beginning, right? Where is how you approach other people, you know, like don't attack, come from like, you know, courtesy, professional courtesy and appreciation, like you want to make the deal. What other mistakes do you see out there? I'll tag it as mistakes just for the sake of the argument, that they can easily be, you know, told or changed, right? If you could tell the person, hey, yeah, you should do it differently on various occasions. Not just like how you treat people, but maybe like on the actual contracts or whatever, other mistakes that the negotiation kind of, like you say, I wish they would do it differently.
Yeah.
Well, one to Allison's question earlier about how you approach the other agent, the listing agent. If you have the buyer, how do you approach the listing agent? I was taught this question years ago, and Allison, please tell me if you would respond well to this question. I call you up and say, hey, Allison, my buyer is talking about offering $950 on that listing you have. Based on what you already have in hand, I don't want to waste your time. Should I even bother writing that up?
Probably not, because I already have close to $1 million.
Got
So
it.
I don't want to waste either of our time.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I appreciate that so much, Allison. And by the way, are there any other terms that the seller needs? Staying in possession, close of escrow, anything like that?
No, he just wants the highest price, really.
Yeah. Okay. And close in 30 days is acceptable.
Yeah, that's fine for him.
Fantastic. Guess what? Now I know I got to be $1 million or higher.
And a 30-day escrow.
And a 30-day escrow. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
And,
Right.
and
But
I
he
didn't
got there because, I mean, you heard it in his tone, the way it's like, I'm tired. I don't want to waste either of our times.
Yeah.
Is this worth writing?
Yeah.
And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, because he had that tone, I'm like, okay, he's tired too. And it's like, he doesn't want to waste his time. And I can tell he's not happy with his buyer because of his tone. It's not all about what you say. It's about how you say it and your tone of your voice.
Yeah.
And he could have even said to me, maybe, if I got him to $1 million, you know, he's 20% down. Do you think that would work? Or do you think I need to maybe be higher than that? I don't know. I'm so sick of writing offers. You see how that's different? Instead of saying I've overpriced it or anything that makes me, did you look at comps?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
or the question that gets asked, and Allison, I'm sure, and you can't answer. Hey, what's it going to take to win?
I don't know. Do you have a crystal ball? Because if you have that crystal
Don't-
ball, I'll take that one too.
Yeah.
And I've
don't
said
ever
that
ask
over
that.
and over and over again because those phone calls are so annoying that it makes me just want to hang up on you because it's like offers are due Monday at 5. It's Saturday. What am I going to get?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Allison, I saw there was a question that came up, said, do you tell the other agent what the highest offer is? Do you share that with them?
Well, when he called, he said, would 950 work?
Yeah.
And I said, no, don't bother. I didn't tell him the highest offer I had.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you
Right?
feel?
So-
Do you feel it's okay to tell the highest price?
I feel that anything that puts more money in your seller's pocket, you know, it's like, it's about the seller. It's not about us.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't think anybody should have an unfair advantage over anybody else. But if you call me and you ask me the right questions, and, you know, if his next question was, would $1 million work? And I said to him, oh, you're probably going to have to be over $1,010,000. I didn't say we had an offer at $1,010,000.
Yeah. But you know, actually, it's actually okay to tell somebody what the price
Yes, it is.
Unless
Offers
the
are
seller
not
says, I don't
confidential.
want you to. Yeah. And that's okay too. That sometimes we'll get it is $1 million, says, hey, I've got offers of $1 million plus. What you do what you want to do, but if you're coming into that one, your chances are pretty slim of not getting it.
And remember, you can't really tell somebody if they say, okay, if I come in at $1,020,000, will I get, will that be your highest offer? Now, remember, it's not always about the highest offer because
Yes.
you might be coming in with 5% down. And then I've told you, yeah, that sounds good. And then the next thing you know, you don't get a counter and it's sold. And I send you a little nice email saying, I know this market's hard, but we took a more favorable offer. And you see it sold for 10,000 less than you offered. Well, yeah, but you know what? You forgot to tell me you had 5% down and they had 500,000 down. So it's like
all cash, 10-day escrow or something. You can see
right.
that happen.
We have no idea what a property is going to sell for. So if offers are due Monday at 5, then maybe you should try calling on a Monday and saying, hey, do you think this would work?
Where you guys at? Yeah, something like
Right.
that.
That's going to get you a lot more than calling me on Saturday and saying, what do I think it's going to sell for?
I think you should not shy away from asking the question to try to find out where it's at. It's $1 million plus, or I go $1,000,001. What do I need to do to get there? Whatever, and say, hey, if you come under the $1 million, I don't think you're going to have a shot at all. But
right.
and
remember, I don't work for you. So it's not my job to prove value to you. And it's not my job to pull comps for you. And it's your job to call for your client and try to get as much information. But don't call with questions I can't answer. So before you call an agent, think about what you're going to say to get the maximum amount of information you need to help your buyer, because that's your intention, is to help your buyer. So you got to keep me on your side and you got to get as much information. So maybe the client says they're going to offer $1 million to you, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you call me on Monday and you say, will 950 work? And now you're listening to me and you're saying, but you just said your client said $1 million. I know, but what if I called you and said 950 and you said, oh, I have offers at 980? Now I got two things. I can go back to the client and say, hey, they just said they have not offers at 980. Do you want to lower it, or do you want to still go at $1 million? Then I say to you, oh my God, I got the clients up 20 grand for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, it wins on both sides. So it's like, think about it.
We're seeing in this area where I happen to work a lot in the rolling hills behind the gates here. And we're seeing that those properties and the multi-million, $3, $4, $5, $7 million homes are all selling, and all selling quickly. And they're all selling, a lot of them are selling with all cash. And where did all this money come from? You know, here's a $5 million offer, all cash. And I don't have to sell my house to buy it either. You know, wow. There's a lot of money out there.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Good stuff.
Many, so one of the agents said the other day, one of the agents said did not pay their dues, you know, and they said to me, oh, it's a lot of money. I said, you tell me where $300 you can get $1 billion worth of inventory and anything, anywhere, any retail store, anywhere for $300 a year. Please bring it to my attention. This is a bargain. This is a deal. Don't balk about paying $300 for your dues. you're going to get something for it, a lot for it, right?
Well, that's part of the negotiations. Exactly.
Yeah.
Another question on the chat from Casey.
Oh, sure.
How would you go about negotiating credits for your buyer when the seller has backups in this market?
So you've done a home inspection?
Yes. Casey, you
Okay.
can unmute yourself if you want to, but he said yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, is this working?
Okay, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and send over the home inspection to the other agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have a conversation, call them on the phone and say, hey, I just sent you the home inspection. Seller loves the property, but we got a few issues. Like the plumbing is, the sewer line is cracked. So it's going to be an issue no matter who buys a home. Obviously, I don't want my buyer to move in and, have the toilets overflow. Right now, there's only 2 people living there, so it's probably not happening to your clients, and I get it. But, we're a family moving in, and it's going to be a lot more people. And most people buying that home are going to be a family, probably more than the 4 people we have, 6 or 7, because it is a 4-bedroom house. So I think, they're trying to be reasonable, but that is a major concern to them. And then the leaking heater pipe in the attic, which will cause mold if it's left there to leak. So, I know it's, an as-is sale, but as-is what a lot of people, like I try to explain to my buyers that, they can't ask for new kitchen flooring because as-is what you can see with the eye. But the things that are like, we can't see the sewer line and we can't really sell a house with a cracked sewer. And any reports we give the buyer, the seller, they have to give to future buyers too. So they'll end up getting less money if they have to sell the house with a broken sewer. So I was hoping that your seller would consider giving us a $10,000 credit towards a sewer.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thanks, Allison. Yeah, this.
Well, how do you feel about that? Do you think your seller would give us that, or?
If you were smart, you would not ask for anything, is what this agent told me, at least.
In other words, he's got 10.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So I want you to I want you to be the other agent. And I get it. I know it's a hard market right now. And I've been working with these clients for like 4 months. I know this is a lot to ask, but just help me if you can help me. I get it. I know that it's a hard thing to ask for, but maybe you could just get us something. Just try to help me out here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's good. Actually, this is like for a future deal. We actually just came to a settlement for this specific question. It was 162K my buyers were asking for, and we settled at 75. So that's great, and an offer of 200,000 over was a backup. So
So did you reduce the price, or did you give them a credit of 75?
credits, yeah, 75K credits.
$75,000 in credits. So
Yeah.
were you getting a loan on the property?
Yeah,
Was
Yeah.
the lender okay with that? 75,000 credit and getting a loan?
yeah, they were all okay with it. So we're just trying to clear that up with the underwriter now. So everything's all
Yeah.
good.
What's the price of the home?
3.75.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I was having a little difficulty with that, so I kind of had to maneuver around there. I mean, they don't want to start from scratch again. I mean, like once that happens, the seller's unhappy, it has to fall through. And then the next thing you know, the other buyer is going to ask for the same things because they have to disclose that as well, which is also something I brought up to their attention. So I think that's the right way to attack it. Thanks, Allison.
I think as a act of caution too, when somebody submits credits for work to be done on the house, you got to watch those credits. Read that report closely because I don't know where they get these numbers from. Asked one the other day, said, "Oh, the home inspector gave me the numbers." I said, "Gave you what numbers?" This is what he thinks the cost of repairs would be. I think you needed a roofer and a plumber, an electrician, not a home inspector to come up with the numbers. Your numbers are ridiculous and way off.
Yeah.
This you got to get those numbers somewhat accurate if you want me to present it and try to get it for you. be careful of that too.
Yeah,
Casey,
Yeah,
thank you. Good job. Congrats.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything else you guys want to share? Allison, Bob, Doug, Gordon, if we're gonna let you go to negotiate your way to the next listing.
It was wonderful talking to all you people. It was a pleasure being here today, and wish you all the rest of the year a great year. Make a lot of money. Thanks, Meny.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a couple of things that I did write down that things that have helped me in the past.
Yeah.
And just certain rules. What you're aware of, you're in control of, and what you're not aware of is in control of you.
Oh, great line.
And you want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Okay. These are basically my 4 rules of negotiation, but there's really more than 4. Rule number 2, most people aren't honest with themselves, so what makes you think that they're going to be honest with you? Rule number 2.1, how you do anything is how you do everything. So basically, if we look at somebody, how they're doing one thing is pretty much how they're going to do something else most of the time.
Yeah.
Let's see. How it begins is how it ends, usually. And then, of course, the punch that you never see is the one that knocks you out.
But you never see.
Yeah.
So how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mhm.
How would you use that in a listing presentation?
It's not. It's just a rule.
Oh no, it could be used in a listing
Well,
presentation.
you can use anything. It's just
I
one
know
of my.
you're- I know, but I would be like, I know you're interviewing 3 agents. I want you to go online because how they do one thing is how they do everything. So however they're representing the homes that they have is how they're going to represent your home. So if they have unprofessional pictures, a lack of a property description, that's how your home's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It pretty much works for virtually anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't, I mean, anything in life for that matter. Again, this is one thing that I learned from Chris Voss is that there's no need for explaining or defending. The person that's explaining or defending is losing.
Mm.
Because, a lot of times we'll hear people say, well, you should hire me because I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm that. But actually when somebody's defending and explaining, they're actually losing. So another one is your greatest weapon is in your counterpart's mind.
Greatest weapon, your counterpart's mind.
Yeah. So whoever your counterpart is, whoever you're negotiating against, if you can figure out what they're thinking and feeling, you've pretty much got it licked.
Okay.
This is one I've been saying for years is let someone talk and they'll tell you everything they know. If you let that person continue to talk, they'll start to tell you everything that they don't know.
Well, you got a whole book full there.
Oh yeah. Well, I've actually got a book that's never been published, but it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So it's just,
Got it. Yeah.
There's a lot more, but those I think are good enough for now.
Pearls of wisdom and one-liners to make a lot of money, right? It's all about now. I mean, the next step is on you guys to practice those, right?
Yeah.
And cash out. Guys, that was priceless. I can't thank you enough as always. Allison Van Wig, Bob Walatka, Gordon Inman, Doug Schmidt, and thanks everybody for watching us and asking questions. So guys, thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody.